business, it wasn't because I was looking for a business. I had really messed up my neck from hovering over a microscope, and back then, even though I was being funded by the National Institutes of Health and the American Cancer Society to study cancer and Alzheimer's, I didn't know anything about taking care of my own health, which is ridiculous. I ate out of the vending machines, I ate whatever was available. I had the worst lifestyle. If I had to collect data at 3 in the morning, I was making a pot of coffee at 2 in the morning. I was sleeping on the couch at the lab. I don't even know why I paid rent, because I was just living at the lab. And the only thing I did was be active, because we would have to get our energy out. I'd either run for 5 miles or play ultimate frisbee, but because of my neck, I wasn't able to be active. So I started to read up on nutrition on my own. I was not learning it in the university setting. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on my timer here. So basically, somebody gave me, I started reading about juicing. So I started juicing regimen, and then somebody gave me a brochure on Juice Plus, not too much later. Okay, so in the kitchen I was juicing, apples. I tried juicing broccoli, that was disgusting. So it was like apples, ginger and carrot, and that was sort of my go-to. And when I saw this brochure, it was the very first brochure, it was before research. Juice Plus had come out it had come out in October, and I heard about it in July 30 years ago. Okay, I was 30 years old, I just turned 30. And do the math, I just turned 60. And so I was reading it, and I just went, so they had compared it to how many glasses of fresh juice I would have to drink to get the same amount of vitamin C, beta carotene. Anybody remember that brochure?
Yes.
And I said to myself, what? This should have been my idea. I should have put my kitchen and my lab together, because I was using the same technology to dehydrate cells. Now, I am somebody who didn't believe in supplementation at all. How many of you go to the health food store and you're like, I think I'll need to get some zinc, get some magnesium, get some this, get some that. This whole industry is unregulated. It is just, people take like melatonin. Don't do that. It's a hormone. Don't take melatonin. And it's completely unregulated. What you see on the bottle is not necessarily what's in the product. And even when doctors are advising you, take 300 milligrams of EPA or DHA or fish omegas, that doesn't mean it's going to do anything for you. Okay? That number on the label is meaningless, and I knew that. I knew that much. And so when I saw this, I was like, I got to give it a try. So I did some silly experiments at home. I wanted to see if it was food. So I ground up I went and bought the most expensive vitamins. I ground them up, dissolved them, and tried to dissolve them in water. They didn't really dissolve. And then I took the Juice Plus and put it in water, and I left it in my kitchen to see if it would rot. Because if a self-respecting bacteria doesn't attack your food, you should not either. Okay? So I wanted to see if Juice Plus would rot. If a self-respecting bacteria does not attack your food, neither should you. Okay? But you got to have water in there for the bacteria to attack it. And so the Juice Plus rotted, so okay, that worked. And then I wanted to find out, so I actually went to NAI, which was the only place back then that I had access to see what kind of reports they had pulled on the product, to see they said they had no contaminants. And I actually went there and asked for the reports, and they showed them to me, okay? And even then, my inquisitive, I don't believe anybody. I don't believe anybody. Even about 10, 15 years into the business, we had some turnover in the product department, and I wasn't sure who these people were and what's going on. So I bought a 4-month supply just for the purpose of testing it. I had my girls help me open up the red, the green, the purple, put it into Ziploc baggies, and I sent it off to a third party, paid over $5,000 to have it tested for herbicides and pesticides. Just wanted to make sure. just needed to know. Okay, just needed to know, because that's how I am. need to know that for 30, why have I been sharing for 30 years? Because there's nothing on the market that comes close. They look the same, maybe. They steal our research, maybe, but it's not the same. I promise you, it's not the same. They took a bunch of us to Chicago where you could talk to the farmers, not Chicago, but outside Chicago. We could talk to the farmers that are growing the kale, that are growing the pumpkins, and the pride with which they're doing that, then the manufacturing facility and what they're doing and all the tests along the way. And then NAI tests the product before they encapsulate it to make sure it is what it is and it doesn't have any contaminants. There's nothing on the market that I know about, and I keep my eyes open on this stuff, and people approach me with this stuff. Influencers, I'm not even an influencer, right? And I get these like, oh, we saw your social media, do you want to represent our products? Can we just, people send me stuff all the time. And I'm like, garbage, 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 right? Totally. But just what you have in your hands, those of you that are new, you have gold in your hands. Gold at the level of health, gold at the level of what it can do for your life, and gold at the level of what it can do for you personally in this business. Sharon was just talking about, she was just talking about the difference between doing versus being, if you were listening to what she was saying. We all have a to-do list, but do you have a to-be list? Do you have a to-be list? Who I want to be, who I'm becoming. You are becoming. So when I went to one of these things, in Seattle, nothing was going on. I had to go to Portland to go to my first sort of training like this. And I went in there and I was scratching my head like, what is this? What did I sign up for? I don't get it. What is that? Anybody feel that way? Anybody that's new? What? How do I, what? Like, what is this, right? And Nikki Cotton, how many of you know that name? Anyway, she's been around in the business a long time. And she and her husband had organized this event. And she met me, and she decided, oh, she's not gonna make it. I was too shy. When I did open my mouth, I asked too many questions. Money was not important to me because I grew up in a Bengali culture where education and culture and all this stuff was important. I had to know how to sing and dance and, Bengali and Indian stuff. But making money was just not important in our culture. In fact, I think I was led to believe that only evil people make money. It really was. And then I remember going to probably my first conference, and somebody said from the front of the room, money is neutral, but it does make you more of who you are. So if you're a great, generous person, you will be more great and more generous. If you're kind of a jerk, you're going to be more of a jerk. And that gave me permission. I was like, oh, I am a super generous person, actually. And I want to be even more super generous. I want to be more generous. Right? Who do you want to be more of? What is it about you that you love, that you want to be more of? Make a list of those qualities you want to be more of. Shout out something that you want to be more of. Somebody who's
confident.
New. Huh?
Oh, sorry, new. I'm not new. Confident.
More confident. When I first did my first presentation, how many of you remember overheads?
Yes.
So we had a color overhead printer in the lab, right? So I wrote like 4 or 5 words on in different colors. I had like red, vitamins, blue, like minerals. I said vitamins, minerals, enzymes, phytonutrients, all these words, fiber, on this overhead. And I put it up, because my sponsors asked me to do a meeting locally. Like they were like, oh, we have a doctor in the house, let's do a meeting. So I put this overhead, I was so proud. I was like, Juice Plus has vitamins, minerals, vitamin nutrients, fiber, enzymes, and that's why you should take it. Bye! That was my first presentation. Okay? But I was becoming something more. I was becoming. I didn't even know who I was becoming. Who are you becoming in this process? And you gotta have fun. I think you've heard that over and over and over and over and over again. And being a woman in science, I was trained to be a jerk. What? Yeah, you had to be. Because people walk around in academia like I'm smarter than you, written on their forehead. You have to have that attitude. Otherwise, especially as a woman, you are not. Okay, I was my bachelor's degree is in electrical engineering. I was like one of 5 women amongst 500 men at Cornell. Okay, and people just assumed you didn't know anything because you were a woman back then. And then in science, I don't even want to tell you what happened. It was tragic almost, now that I look back, of what I put up with. What I thought was normal and okay, what I accepted was ridiculous. But I saw something, there's some part of me that saw something that I wasn't even fully conscious of in this business. You know what I mean? Those of you that are new, is there a part of you that's speaking to you, that got you here in the first place, that you're starting to hear a different voice in your head about what's possible for you from the stories you've heard? Raise your hand, don't be shy if you're new. Yeah? Somebody who's new, tell me. Are you new?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, perfect. What are you hearing?
This drop, messy right here, messy right here. The community. And the love of health, the love of the people at this table, at the tables next to me. I'm the retired Army. I found my
And so what's your name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, I am so excited for you.
Yes.
And so, not only me, how many of you are excited? So, you know, it's let me see, I had some notes here of things that I wanted to talk about. Okay. I don't know, I get the downloads and I just speak to you guys. So, when you put a goal, here's what I want to say about goals, because this is important. Let's say you put a goal like you want to make $500 a month, right? There's gonna be a period when you're not making $500 a month, otherwise you wouldn't have put that goal out there. And you have to be really, really careful once you make that goal that you don't wake up the next day judging yourself for what you did wrong, because, and that's why you didn't get to make. And then you the goal actually gets in your way. Do you know what I mean? The goal actually has you look in the mirror and say, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? No, the whole process is messy. It's messy. You probably heard Wendy Campbell talk about that. It's messy, it's ugly, it's stupid. If you already have the skill set of a national marketing director, when you sign up as a partner, those two things don't make, that's not how it goes. Sure, there's a few people that come into this business from other network marketing opportunities, but they're rare, and even they have to sometimes relearn. And being a salesperson does not help you. Being a salesperson does not help you in this business, because we don't sell Juice Plus. You see, how many of you think there's a few people out there that are sick that could use Juice Plus? Right? Okay, so let's say there's 100 people. There's 100 people. They all could use Juice Plus. There's not one of them that couldn't use Juice Plus. Not one. Not one. If they breathe and swallow, they can use Juice Plus. But 80 of them don't care. 80 of them don't even care. They don't. There's nothing you can say or do that's going to change that. 80 of them do not care, will not care right now. They may care down the road. The best you can do with them is be awesome and leave the door open for someday they will care. Someday they'll get a diagnosis. Someday they're going to look in the mirror and go, I can be better. But at any given moment, 80 of them don't care. Then there's the other 20, right? Maybe 15 of them need 5, 10, 20 exposures to Juice Plus to say yes, right? Maybe 3 or 4 of them are friends and family that actually really will do whatever you say, or they'll just support you no matter what. And maybe one of them is like, man, I need some. And they're looking for you. Those are kind of the numbers. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you blame yourself for not having the skill set of a national marketing director just because you signed that application, right? Or these days you don't sign, you click. Right? Just because you clicked to be a partner doesn't mean that you're going to get it right, because you can't get it right because of just what I just told you. You can't get 100 yeses. And you really have to understand. So in order to get 10 customers, how many people do you have to talk to, given those numbers? Right? That's the hard part that nobody tells you about. That's the hard part that you have to swallow. That's the hard pill that you really have to swallow. Because am I willing to be consistent over time, do this 10 to 20 hours a week to get the number of exposures I need for the number of people that I need to create momentum, right? But the good news is that you've got the power in network marketing of not having to convince 30, 40, 50,000 people in order to become a presidential marketing director. You just have to get about 20, 30 customers yourself, and of them, maybe some of them become raving fans, especially if you follow up and invite them to trainings like this, and they see something for themselves, and then they go out and do what you do, and suddenly you find yourself, not suddenly, 5, 7, 10 years down the road, you can find yourself and you have an organization with 20, 30, 40,000 customers, right? And I'm not saying you have to do that. Maybe you just only want to make $500 a month. That's cool too. In fact, that's what we depend on. If you want, one of the real big things I learned in this business, like I love when you talked about, I just want to do the sourdough party at home, not for the whole church. Because there's not enough of you to go around. If everybody in the church said yes, what would you do? How would you take care of it? There's not enough of you to answer all those questions for all those people if they all said yes. So in some ways, maybe it's just a setup. This whole numbers game I just showed you, maybe it's just a setup for you to work 10 to 20 meaningful hours a week. Build your dream with part-time, consistent effort. Does that make sense? Is that making sense? You get what you have to do? You get it? Somebody new, tell me, what do you have to do? What did you hear? Somebody newish?
Consistent effort.
Consistent effort. Meaningful effort. Do you know what the high-paying activities are? Sharing the product, planting the seed of the opportunity, sharing the product, planting the seed of the opportunity, following up, and staying plugged in to this community. These are the activities that are meaningful, high-paying, check in the bank activities. This company has probably, I've not seen one better, the most generous long-term marketing compensation plan that you'll find in the industry. There are companies out there that are saying, oh, I can go into this company and I can make like 38% or 42% or whatever. They won't make it. It's not a good business plan for them. They will go out of business. We have deep roots. We've been here a long time, over 50 years. We have a killer compensation plan. In fact, Kurt and I and our founders, we talk about this all the time. Forget the monthly incentives, just work the compensation plan. It is brilliant. Just get from position to position, build your club levels. You have a qualified business of 20, 30 customers, maybe 20 households. That means you're doing your 1,800 PV a month consistently through customer base, okay? Go for 2,000, 2,500, keep it solid so you can go on vacation, right? Qualify your business, then teach somebody else to do that, and then somebody else. Some of the rules I made up for myself, kind of just like looking at what's going on. I had a few rules. If I was going to an event, I wanted 5 lines there. 5 lines minimum. That meant I did my job. A line, for those of you that are new, is when you start a prospect and as a customer and they become a partner, you just started the line. And then whatever happens in that like branch of your tree, it could be nothing, it could be everything. That line could become an NND leg for you. Leg, line, same thing, okay? So I want to make sure I have 5 separate legs as a minimum for every event. And for those of you that want to build really big income, you want to get one person to the core rank of QSC every month. If that's 20 hours a week. That's your 20 hours a week. 10 hours a week, you're gonna build a qualified business, you're gonna build a nice check. 20 hours a week, consistently done over time, you're gonna be able to, at least every other month, get a QSC, frontline to you. I tell people, those on my team that want to build big business, I'm like, build your own frontline 12 club. Build your own frontline 12 club. 12 qualified legs. And sit back and watch the magic happen. Just sit back and go, yes. Because you know what? Now, I get to be so generous because of this business. Education is really important to me. It always has been part of my culture. I have been able to build schools all over the world and in my own community. Because that's what's important to me, especially for girls, in places where girls don't have education. I get to be more generous. Who are you becoming? Who are you becoming? You are becoming anyway. And you can become so much more than you know is possible. You have to use your imagination. So you spend your moments, and this is a really important thing, moment to moment to moment to moment, how you spend your day. You can spend your moment imagining what's possible or criticizing yourself, others, or what's wrong, circumstances, judging and assessing and reevaluating and trying to fix people. Do not share du spots from a place of fixing people. Recruit your customers. What do I mean by that? I'm like, if I talk to Sharon, I want to know Is she one of those 80 people that just don't care? So therefore I can't do anything right now. I'll just be nice to her. Is she one of the 15 that needs some exposure? Or is she one of those 5? Either they're just gonna listen to whatever I have to say, or they're just looking for a juice plus. I recruit my customers and I train them how to log in for themselves and manage their own order. That doesn't mean I don't follow up with them. But I want to see, I retail to recruit. I want to know who is this, what is this person? What are they made of and where do they want to go? Do they have a vision for themselves? Become the person that you want to recruit is really the message. Become the person that you want to recruit. Do you want to recruit fun people? Go have some fun, right? Become the person you want to recruit. So with that, it's now my pleasure to bring up Shay. So actually, Kurt, we spent 3 years in London. Yeah, and Shay recruited me to go over there. Very enrolling. And you'll see why. But Shay O'Brien, just so you know, a legend in our industry. He was, back in the day, the top earner in Europe. And then he went from that to becoming the master distributor. He had the opportunity to become a master distributor, meaning he was sort of the corporate end for several countries, UK, Ireland, Spain, Italy, to name a few. And then, and now today, he's an advisor to the board. So he knows what it is to be in our shoes, as well as in corporate shoes. And now he's kind of like, really, the thing he's doing now is he's done great things in Europe. Europe has been growing month to month to month, and he'll probably talk about that. And he wants us to do the same in the US. Yeah, let's go, right? So let's bring up Shay O'Brien. Thank you so much.